My name is Jonathan Joestar. I suppose my story starts with fire, and it ends with fire too, in a way. It's a story about family, betrayal, and a darkness so deep it almost swallowed the world. It's about my brother, or rather the monster who pretended to be my brother. His name was Dio Brando. Let me tell you about it from the beginning. I was born into a life of comfort, the only son of Lord George Joestar. We lived in a big old mansion in England. Life was peaceful, filled with books, studies, and my loyal dog Danny. He was my best friend, truly. I was a big lad, strong, maybe a bit clumsy, and perhaps too trusting. I believed deeply in doing the right thing, in protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. My father taught me that. He was a good man. Then everything changed when I was 12 years old. My father got a letter. It said that a man named Dario Brando had died. Dario was a thief, a drunk, a terrible man by all accounts. But years before, during a terrible accident, this Dario Brando had stumbled upon my father, injured. Dario thought my father was already dead and tried to rob him, but my father woke up. Instead of being angry, my father believed Dario had saved him. He felt a debt. So, when Dario died, my father decided to take in Dario's orphaned son, Dio Brando. He told me Dio would be like a brother to me. I was excited, a brother, someone to share my life with. Oh, how wrong I was. Dio arrived, looking like a perfect, polite young gentleman. But I saw the look in his eyes, even then, cold, calculating, like a snake. He pretended to be kind to my father, thanking him endlessly. But to me, when no one was looking, it was different. He hated me instantly. He saw me as the obstacle to everything he wanted. The Joestar fortune, the mansion, the name. He started small, tripping me, ruining my schoolwork. It's making me look foolish in front of my father. He was clever, always covering his tracks. I tried to fight back, but he was always one step ahead. He poisoned my mind against my father, making me seem like a rebellious, ungrateful son. It hurt. It confused me. Why would someone act like this? Then, he did something unforgivable. He killed Danny, my sweet loyal Danny Dio. He burned my dog alive in the furnace. I found the collar. I knew it was him. The rage I felt. I confronted him. He fought, really fought for the first time. I gave him a good thrashing. It felt like justice. But even then, he twisted it. He made it look like I attacked him. My father, fooled by Dio's act, punished me. The injustice burned worse than any punch. Years passed, Dio never stopped. He became popular at school, charming everyone. He poisoned my father, slowly, making him terribly ill. All the while, pretending to be the devoted son nursing him. I studied archaeology at university, hoping to find something meaningful. Dio studied too, but for darker reasons. He became obsessed with an ancient artifact we had in our home, the stone mask. It looked strange, almost alien, with sharp points around it. Dio believed it held some kind of power. He experimented on it secretly. One night I came home unexpectedly. I saw Dio forcing the mask onto the face of an innocent man, a drunkard he'd found. He cut the man. Blood touched the mask. And then it happened. Horrible spikes shot out from the mask, piercing the man's skull. He transformed. His skin turned gray, his eyes glowed yellow, and fangs grew in his mouth. He became a vampire, a creature of the night. Dio had unlocked the mask's terrible secret. It turned men into vampires when touched by blood. The vampire attacked Dio, but Dio, ever resourceful, fought back and killed it. I burst in, horrified. I finally saw Dio for what he truly was. No longer just a cruel stepbrother, but a man willing to unleash monsters. We fought again, desperately. The mansion caught fire during the struggle. I managed to escape, carrying my terribly ill father. But Dio, he escaped too, taking the stone mask with him. My father died in my arms soon after, finally realizing Dio's true nature with his last breath. The grief was crushing. My home was gone. My father was gone. And Dio was out there free, with that monstrous mask. I felt lost, filled with rage and despair. I knew I had to stop Dio, but how? How could a man fight a vampire? Then hope arrived, in a most unexpected form. A strange Italian man named Baron Zeppeli found me. He knew about the stone mask. He knew about vampires. And he knew about Hammond? Hammond, he explained, was the ripple. The power of the sun, channeled through controlled breathing. It was the only thing that could truly harm a vampire. Zeppeli saw the potential in me, the fighting spirit my father had nurtured and Dio had tried to crush. He became my mentor. The training was brutal. Learning Hamon wasn't just about physical strength. It was about life, energy, breathing, rhythm, focus. Zeppeli was strict, but he believed in me. He taught me how to channel the sun's energy through my body, making my very blood a weapon against the undead. I learned to shatter stone with a touch, to walk on water, to heal wounds. It was incredible, like awakening a power I never knew I possessed. But Zeppeli warned me. This path was dangerous. Dio was gathering power. He'd used the mask to create more vampires and zombies, building an army in the shadows. He was hiding out in an old castle near the coast. Wind Knight's Lot, Zeppeli and I, joined by a brave man named Robert Io. Speedwagon, who had witnessed Dio's cruelty firsthand, set out to stop him. Speedwagon wasn't a fighter like us, but his loyalty and sharp mind were invaluable. Wind Knight's Lot was a nightmare. Dio had turned the castle into his fortress. The place crawled with the undead, zombies shambling in the dark corridors, vampires lurking in the towers. Every step was a fight. We faced terrifying creatures Dio had created. One of the worst was Bruford, a knight bound to Dio by dark power. Fought with honor, even in undeath, and his defeat was heavy. But the real terror was Tarkus, giant of a man, impossibly strong and skilled, turned into a monstrous vampire warrior. The battle against Tarkus, it nearly broke us. He was so powerful. Zeppeli fought with everything he had, pouring his Hamon into the fight. He sacrificed himself, giving me the last of his Hamon energy to save my life, watching my mentor die. It hardened my resolve. I would not let his sacrifice be in vain. I defeated Tarkus, fueled by grief and the power Zeppeli had passed on. Finally, we reached the top of the castle. Dio was there, waiting. He had become even more monstrous. His vampire powers were immense. He mocked me, taunted me about my father, and then he did the most vile thing imaginable. He had brought my father's corpse with him. He raised it up and severed its head, just to hurt me, just to mock the love I had for my father. The rage, the pure burning rage that filled me, was unlike anything I'd ever felt. The Joestar spirit, the fire my father believed in, roared inside me. Dio tried to freeze me with his cold vampire powers, encasing my arm in ice. But my Hammond, my life energy, burned hotter than ever before. I shattered the ice. I shattered the chains he tried to bind me with. He underestimated the strength of a human heart filled with righteous fury. Our final battle was chaos. We crashed through walls, shattered stone. I fought with every ounce of strength. Every bit of Hamon Zeppeli had taught me came down to one moment. Dio lunged at me, fangs bared. I dodged and with a surge of Hamon drove him back. Right onto the sharp stone spires of a statue, pierced him through. He was pinned, impaled. We thought it was over. The castle was crumbling, burning around us. Speedwagon and I escaped, thinking Dio was finished. But he wasn't. That monster clung to life. He somehow survived, pulling himself free. He pursued us to the docks, where a ship was ready to sail. He attacked again on the ship. The fight continued, desperate and brutal amidst the cargo. He was weakened, but still deadly. He managed to get behind me, and he slashed my throat with his claws. The pain was instant, terrible. I knew I was dying. But I also knew I couldn't let Dio escape. Not again, not after everything. With my last bit of strength, fueled by Hamon and pure will, I turned and grabbed him, held him tight, his head tucked under my chin. He struggled, shocked. I accepted my fate. I would die, but I rejected his fate. He would not live to curse the world any longer. I held him as the ship's hold, filled with explosives Dio himself had brought aboard, detonated. The explosion, it was fire and light and noise. It consumed us. I felt the heat, the force. I felt my body failing. But I also felt peace. I had protected Irina. the woman I loved, who was safe on a lifeboat with Speedwagon. I had protected the world from Dio, and most importantly, Irina was carrying our child. My legacy, the Joestar bloodline, would continue. The darkness of Dio might linger. I sensed it even then, a cold shadow not fully extinguished, but the light would fight on. My son, George, and my grandson, Joseph, and those who would come after. Jonathan Joestar died on that ship, holding the monster who destroyed my family. But I died knowing I had done my duty. I fought with honor. I protected those I loved. I lived and died by the noble spirit my father taught me. That spirit, it never dies. It passes on. It keeps fighting. That is the true power of a Joestar. It's not just Haman or strength. It's the courage to stand against the darkness, no matter the cost. Remember that. Remember my story. Goodbye.